I look forward to working with President Trump. He's going to be part of the Troika and all structures as much as we possibly can, and formations. So utilizing or getting or bringing in, say, the South African diaspora will be a wonderful thing that we can do, and we will be inviting them to come and play a role and to contribute. Africa is our home.
Good morning, world. Good afternoon, world. Wherever you're watching from, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I want you to watch this video of South African President Ramaphosa talking about how he's going to deal with the, dealing with America, Donald Trump, and everything. He was in an interview. Listen to this, and then we go talk about something on this video.
I look forward to working with President Trump. He's going to be part of the Troika in the form of the United States, South Africa, and Brazil. So we have to work together. We're joined at the hip as we prepare both for the South African G20 summit, and they also prepare in the following year for the US G20. So we're going to be working together for a solid 2 years, if not 3. So I'm hoping that diplomacy and observing, the various protocols that exist amongst global leaders as well as countries are going to underpin the way that we work. So I look forward, and I think we'll have a good summit in South Africa with the participation of the United States and also with President Donald Trump coming to South Africa. I've already invited him for a state visit, and we look forward to welcoming him and all other global leaders.
Kate?
Thank you. I was just about
Constitutes what I call a really good summit indeed.
Thank you, President. Brilliant.
Hi, Mr. President. My name is Vivian Oswald. I work at the Presidente do Bilateral. South Africa will be the less developing country in charge for the G20 before the presidency goes to the US again. Lula has had to lead the G20 with Biden's US. You are going to deal with Trump. Is this way of making the declaration that we did here, we saw that Argentina wouldn't accept it, the way that you're going to do with the US in case Trump doesn't accept climate change things and other issues that he's against? And regarding digital platforms, do you consider it as well an issue for South Africa during your presidency?
Is the good thing, if I use a colloquial term and say the beauty about this summit, is that it allowed everyone, as I said, to express their views and to also articulate dissenting views or voices on issues. And what we established at this summit is that even as one member or country dissents, it will not stop the show. It will not stop forward movement. And we say this advisedly, utilizing a South African concept which says, once there is sufficient consensus, you move on. However, building consensus must include being able to listen to dissenting views, to seek to accommodate those dissenting views, and to debate issues and to go behind every aspect that people disagree on. And once the broad consensus has been reached, and we often find that even those who may well have doubts are then brought into the consensus, and then it becomes sufficient for us to move forward. And we think that this beautifully crafted South African dialogue, managing and breaking concept, dispute resolution concept, can work very well. And today, at this summit, we saw it working very well. So in the future, those countries that may have different views will be granted the right, the opportunity to voice their views, and if the broad majority agrees, we decide and declare and move forward. When it comes to digital technologies, particularly the evolution of artificial intelligence, it is one of our key priorities. As South Africa, we've got the 3 themes, and then the sub-themes, if you like, or the key priorities will include things like ending hunger, climate change, and dealing with the climate damage, as well as a whole number of others, including digital technology, but specifically artificial intelligence. And we will want to address this as it should really lead to the development of people. It must be people-oriented, it must benefit people, and it must lead to the development and growth of our economies.
Children.
Afternoon, my name is Tim Bilateral with Global News. Just how much pressure is South Africa under to get over the line some of the key reforms that the Global South has been pushing for, given that it is the last rotation of countries from that region? And linked to that, before you hand over to the US and President-elect Donald Trump, what is your approach to it? Do you think that maybe you can find each other as former businessmen? Is there a Gulf diplomacy aspect that could be at play here?
Well, we're not really under pressure in South Africa, as we're going to be heading the G20. We approach our task as being a task where we work together with others. So whatever pressure we may be facing is a pressure that is exerted on us by the conditions in which people in the world find themselves in, particularly people in the global south. Poverty, inequality, and joblessness. Those are the pressures that, yes, we are under, which we've got to address. And we want to address this under the rubric of G20, so that even countries in the global north are able to work with us. Hence, we've crafted the theme of solidarity. We want to live up to the principle of cooperation, which was crafted 19 years ago or so when the G20 was formed, that we must cooperate and work together to achieve ideals that will lead to economic stability, economic growth. And that's the pressure that we are exerting on ourselves to address, in our case, this triple challenge and sustainable development broadly, and also have a measure of equal treatment on a whole range of issues, from climate change to financing of development, where currently your more developing economy countries are paying more for their debt, and they've got huge debt burdens, and we would like the inequality that persists in that area to be addressed. And so therefore, the G20 is an important platform. It accounts for almost 80% of the GDP of the world, and 80% or so of global trade. So it's important that this platform be utilized to good effect. I look forward to working with President Trump. He's going to be part of the Troika in the form of the United States, South Africa, and Brazil. So we have to work together. We're joined at the hip as we prepare both for the South African G20 summit, and they also prepare in the following year for the US G20. So we're going to be working together for a solid 2 years, if not 3. So I'm hoping that diplomacy and observing, the various protocols that exist amongst global leaders as well as countries are going to underpin the way that we work. So I look forward, and I think we'll have a good summit in South Africa with the participation of the United States, and also with President Donald Trump coming to South Africa. I've already invited him for a state visit, and we look forward to welcoming him and all other global leaders.
Kate?
Thank you. I was just about to ask, did you say yes when you spoke to him on the phone, but it sounds like you did. When it comes to Russia and Ukraine, it seems to have escalated in the last 24 hours. Do you have a reaction to the Russians revising their nuclear doctrine and the US allowing Ukraine to use long-range weapons?
Well, the developments that have been unfolding just in the past few hours and a few days are concerning. They are concerning all round, and the issue of utilization of nuclear, it's something that must be seen as calamitous for all of us in the world, and also the increased threat of utilizing long-range missiles and so forth. So it just means that this conflict is escalating to a very dangerous level, and it therefore requires cool heads, because we've been calling for a settlement of that conflict through negotiations, and we think negotiation is the only way out to resolve this conflict. And I've said to both presidents, both President Putin and Zelensky, that all conflicts end in either winning, defeat, or negotiation, and we've got to choose the best way out. And I've always said that the best way out is to negotiate, where sit around a table and find a solution that will accommodate the interests and the concerns that all parties have. And we as South Africa still hope and wish and want to work for the attainment of peace in that area, and also negotiations.
Kelly?
Thank you. Kemi Mshikoya with the African Ramaphosa Bold, as well as the White House correspondent. Congratulations on the G20 presidency. I know it's a lot of work. It's a huge opportunity for South Africa as well as for the African continent. So could you talk about how you plan to bring in the South African diaspora as well as the African diaspora to support what you're doing, and how you plan to use the platform with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to make sure that African voices are heard on the global trade platform?
Our approach to the G20 summit is underpinned by inclusivity. We want to include all voices, all views, and all structures as much as we possibly can, and formations. So utilizing or getting or bringing in, say, the South African diaspora will be a wonderful thing that we can do, and we will be inviting them to come and play a role and to contribute. Africa is our home, and we are going to seek to make this G20 an Africa-focused G20, as well as a Global South-focused G20, just as Brazil did. But in our case, it will be our own home, the African continent. We've already made that clear publicly, that is what we want the G20 to focus on the needs and the challenges that the African continent faces, but also, as put very, very clearly by President Xi Jinping, the opportunities, because where there are challenges, we must also look on the flip side and say, what are the opportunities? So the Africa Continental Free Trade Area presents a huge opportunity for African economies, and utilizing the G20 platform, we will want all of us on the continent to see how best we can broaden our own participation as countries in the African Continental Free Trade Area, and utilize the opportunity that is being brought about by these many countries that control up to 80% of the GDP of the world when it comes to trade, when it comes to economic growth. So we will want that, and the African diaspora has a role to play, and we will be inviting to them So we're going to also create a platform in which people can make their inputs, both in South Africa, in SADC, our own region, Southern African Community Development Area, as well as the whole entire continent of Africa. So for us, this is a very exciting opportunity. We were not elected; it was just by dint of, the one following the other. But we want to utilize it to good effect, to work with others, and to deepen cooperation in the world, and focus on the key issues that the world needs to focus on. And in many ways, the G20 creates a platform also of having an impact on the direction the world is taking in certain areas. So that brings that opportunity to us, and we want to utilize it.
Quick follow-up. You met with President Biden briefly. Could you give us any updates or share that conversation that you had with President Biden today?
It was on the trot as we were moving and from one place to another. President Biden and I spent a considerable amount of time in a bilateral 2 years ago in the White House, and so we've been able to renew some of those things that we discussed. But the one area that we participated jointly in today was on the issue of workers' rights with President Lula, Da Silva, myself, and President Biden. And we ended up with a clear statement on promotion of workers' rights. And so that, to me, just seals a very good relationship, even as he goes into retirement from being president. So that is a very positive development.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Welcome back. Now, Ramaphosa is giving a speech on how he's gonna deal with the problems arising, gonna deal with the coming of Donald Trump. He's making a good relationship with the USA. Said that he has invited Donald Trump to come to South Africa. Elon Musk being half South African. They are talking together to make some moves for the betterment of South Africans. So from what he has just said, what do you think? I want you to put your comment down there, because this is one of the African leaders from big country, South Africa. And South Africa is one of the leaders of Africa, one of the top country. We always talk about South Africa because it's one of the countries with good economy, the countries that have gone through a lot too, and the countries that, everyone knows South Africa. So every steps that Ramaphosa take, it's every African country it's affect, because we see the decision is making, and as other African countries it affects. Now, someone talked about the thing that he has said he have to discuss with Julius Malema. Someone said that if he supports the three juntas of Sahel region, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, that's the most thing people want to hear from him. And there is this question I've been asking myself. South Africa is a very good friend to Russia, and again, it's a very good friend to United States. And these two countries, United States and Russia, I don't know if they are good friends. So we are being caught in the middle of two friendship, and we are the mediator here. And I don't know, is we are being used, or it's just something genuine, because each and every West countries, each and every countries from this first world country, they want to have a bite of South Africa, because South Africa is one of the countries that biggest countries that mine gold, all those resources. South Africa is very rich, and every country from the first world want to associate themselves with South Africa. Now, Ramaphosa saying that he will make a good use of Donald Trump, or he will invite Donald Trump so that they can see the bond together. I love how bold the speech was. I love the message. I loved the interview and the questions he was asked and how he answered it. But how far on the ground? How are the people of South Africa taking this? Because when you have big talks in the ground, you need to have talks too in the show of work. Ramaphosa has been caught in the middle of corruption. Ramaphosa has been accused of, a lot of things. Like people of South Africa too, they are calling out Ramaphosa because they don't believe that he has done something great for South Africa. Or others, we are saying that he is a puppet to the whites. These things that he's saying, is it just to make the whites, the supremacy happy, the Western country happy, or is it for the benefit of South Africans? We need leaders who will make sure, we don't want just to leaders trying to say, I will do this and this and this. We need leaders who will call the unity of all African countries. We need Ramaphosa to talk something about Burkina Faso, Mali. We need South Africa to talk something about AU. We need South Africa to talk about issues of intrusion of foreign countries in the countries. Because South Africa is one of the countries that is being invaded by the white people, by the foreign affairs, by the foreign countries. Geopolitical of South Africa is very influenced by foreign countries. So, as far as we are looking forward for better South Africa, but he needs to say something on what is happening in the whole Africa, because for us to make Africa great again, we as African leaders, a country or a leader like Ramaphosa, need to talk large about Africa at large. The way he is talking and making plans is about his own country. And I want, because Ramaphosa is one of the most, watched leader in the world. I want these leaders, Ramaphosa, Ruto, the Nigerian leader, Burkina Faso leader, to come together, Uganda to come together and to make plans for one Africa, to make plans to make Africa strong. That's what I want to hear. But I don't know. That was my best speech I had from Ramaphosa. I don't know what you think about his speech. I don't know if you are satisfied, but let's see what's going to happen. Someone said that with Elon Musk being at the picture, apartheid will come back to South Africa. I can believe that, but it's a story for another day. Let's hope that this will not affect South Africa or will not take South Africa back to the era of apartheid. Until next episode, peace be with you.